So welcome to our All In Community webinar, and we're going to be talking today a lot about caring for not just folks that are returning, but justice-involved individuals, in particular, our families that are being impacted, whether they have somebody who is currently incarcerated and are really concerned about their health within the prison system, and the fact that our prisons, for safety reasons, as this pandemic kind of spreads, for safety reasons, they have suspended all kind of visitation. So that does not mean, though, that families cannot reach out through letters and through email, and JPay can still communicate with their members that are incarcerated, but they are not able to go and visit. So that increases anxiety with our families that have a justice-involved member. And likewise, as we move along through this pandemic, there's been a lot of discussion. It's been in the news about releasing folks early out of our justice systems, whether it be the local jails or our state prison system. And that too can create significant amount of stress with our families, particularly because of the economic impact. And we have folks that are coming home that jobs may or may not be available. A lot of our services within our own communities have moved to remote service providing services. So, face-to-face with adult parole authority, with reentry folks is pretty much non-existent at this point. But I just want you all to know that those groups are still working. They're just working remotely. So helping families to navigate that may be something that we're called upon, that we're in the position to do at some point. So I'm just going to go through a couple things that I know based on some conversations I've been having with our folks at the state level and some of the communication that has been coming out. So let's see if I can get this to advance. There we go. So where can I get information about what is happening inside the state prisons? The two best places you can go for that information is tune in every day at 2 p.m. for Governor DeWine's daily press briefings. That is where he talks about and reveals the plans going forward about who may be considered for release, when that will happen, how that will happen. We had a conversation yesterday with some of our friends at the Office of Reentry for the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, and that is where they find out what is going to be on their plate over the next day, 2 days, weeks, whatever that is. So that's truly where we all get the same information at the same time. Following those press briefings, you can always go on the ODRC website. I've provided that link for you here. That is where they post how many cases have been reported inside the institutions. That's also where pretty quickly, hopefully within the week or so, there's going to be a special frequently asked questions document on that website for families and individuals who are in ministry with justice-involved individuals. So we learned that yesterday. So those are really your two best resources for finding out what is happening inside our state prisons. So where you can go to get information about available resources in the community. Basic Needs and General Services, relink.org. This is an organization that is paired very strongly with the ODRC regarding reentry resources for not only reentry, but recovery and human trafficking, and just basic resources that are available. It is localized, though it's across our state, but you can go online and do a search based on your zip code, and it will provide you the resources that are available, and there are several search criterias. At the end of the month, we're actually going to have a representative from Relink do a webinar and take us through how to work with that platform to get the best available resources the most quickly way possible. So I think that's on April 28th. You'll be getting information about that, so tune into that one. But in the meantime, that is what our case managers inside our institutions are using as well. So you are getting the same information they are. Reentry services, your local reentry coalition. There are reentry coalitions or reentry folks working specifically and closely with reentry populations in about 85 of our counties. So I provided the link of where you can go and find the contact person for that reentry footprint in your local community or in your local county. It's county based. Housing, a lot of concern with folks that are returning and housing. We were told yesterday in a conference call that folks that are leaving the institution, and these aren't the ones that are slated for COVID-19 release, but just every day there are hundreds of folks that are returning from our state prison system. They all leave with a placement plan. We were told yesterday that nobody would be leaving, quote unquote, homeless. Now, as those of us who work in this area know, sometimes that placement plan is with family or with an organization, and by the time they actually get released, those things have changed or things kind of go sideways with our families because of the level of stress that's involved with that. And sometimes they end up without that first plan of placement actually continuing beyond, the first 72 hours. So there are other organizations. The Ohio Continuum of Care Network is a homeless network. Our 8 largest counties have a homeless board that is working on the COVID-19 local response. The other 80 counties have a continuum of care, a balance of care, I think is what it's called, network. So that right there provides you a link to that information. Employment, Jobs and Family Services right now is the best place to go. I know it's frustrating. They're overloaded. They're working on it. But honestly, unless you have a direct connection with employers, that is your best resource for that. And then I've submitted this PowerPoint and other documentation for Franklin County and Lucas County. There's some additional resources. There's additional housing resource available for people that are not only in need of housing, but also recovery services. And that is all going to be on the West Ohio Conference resource page. And I've provided the link to that. I just made that request this morning, so I'm not sure how long it'll take for that to go up, but it will be up soon. Then finally, how can I restore hope and provide healing during the pandemic, just locally in the community? Reach out to your justice-involved neighbors with prayer and encouraging words. Write letters to those that are incarcerated. That's still going through. Call and check on families with incarcerated loved ones. Just basic, good Christian love that we are extending already, I know, to our friends, but these folks we know have extra vulnerabilities at this time and extra worries. So it's important that we kind of go over and above what we're doing on a regular basis with our own family and friends. And then register your organization with relink.org. Not only do they provide us those local resources, but they're also gathering that. They are talking about, Relink is talking about providing a special COVID-19 section on their website. So if your group has a food pantry that's still providing food, if you are providing, cell phone service or computer services, respecting the social distancing guidelines, which are the third thing there, whatever you're doing to help people navigate, I guess, during this time, Relink is a great place to put those resources so that others can find you and know how to connect with you. So those are the things that I have at this time. And I'm going to, are there any questions? If any of you have questions at this point, I'm happy to take just a couple, and then I'm going to turn it over to Michelle to to kind of lead into her presentation with her own perspective on this and with families, and we can even have a little group discussion. So if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, I'm happy to take those at this time.